This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. As the days get shorter and colder, it can really take a toll on how we feel. Maybe that means calling your grandma, writing a letter to your friend, finally grabbing lunch with someone you haven't seen in a while. And just like reaching out to a friend, starting therapy can take a bit of courage. BetterHelp makes it easy to start therapy. You'll be matched with a licensed therapist based on your needs and preferences so you can focus on your growth and goals. Not happy with your match? You can switch therapists anytime with no hassle. This month, don't wait to reach out, whether that's checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself. BetterHelp makes it easier to take that first step. And our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PFF. That's betterhelp.com/PFF. Number 14, Virginia, losing to Wake Forest 16-9. Let's go over the highest graded players, starting off with the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Highest graded player was their linebacker in Dylan Hazen, 90.2 grade for him. Talk about him later on in the show. Fa'amoe, the offensive tackle, with an 80.7 grade in the win. Melvin Ciani, the other offensive tackle, with a 77.5 PFF grade. Lardarius Webb Jr., 77 at cornerback. Dallas Afalava, the D tackle, 75.8. And Robbie Ashford with a 59.8 grade in the loss. Let's go over to Virginia with their highest grade players in the loss. Sorry, Wake Forest won, obviously. Jason Prevard, the corner, 79.7. Donovan Platt, the corner, 78.8. Jason Hammond, the D tackle, 72.8. Mikhail Boley, the offensive tackle, 71.7. Trell Harris, the wide receiver, 70.6. And the backup quarterback, Daniel Kalen, because Chandler Morris went down with an injury, only a 34.2 grade for him. Dalton, what told the story in this game?
Boy, oh boy, you think about it. If you're Wake Forest, man, how do you win a game when you only have 203 total yards, when you have 3.2 yards per play? You just get a lot of contributions from your defense and your special teams, and also you win the turnover battle. That was a big thing for me in this game. 3 fumbles from Virginia, 2 of them directly led to Wake Forest field goals, both of those on strip sacks of Daniel Kalen. The third one, the Jamari Taylor fumble later in the game that Dylan Hazen forced, just an unbelievable play as Virginia was driving into Wake Forest territory. Just everything went wrong for Virginia in this game offensively. The 3 fumbles, you had red zone trips that came up empty. The drive at the end that Kalen almost saved the day on came up empty. It just did not, and then obviously there's the obvious of, do they win this game with Chandler Morris the entire game? We'll never know. He only got to play 14 snaps. He took the big hit while sliding and scrambling and then left the game with what we assume is some sort of head injury or concussion-related injury. So I think when you just look at this team, they just could not afford to not have Morris against a very good defense like this. Also, we want to shout out the Carlos Hernandez punt return touchdown, which really you could argue is the signature play of this game, I think, alongside with the Hazen forced fumble. But, just an ugly defensive game this turned into, where really neither team could throw the football with any efficiency at all. And Wake Forest, with their defense and with their special teams, they just found a way to get it done in the right time. And I really think forcing those 3 fumbles, those 3 turnovers that led to 6 points and took maybe a touchdown off the board on their second to last drive for Virginia, that was really the difference in this game. And credit to Wake Forest defense for just playing an outstanding game, one of the best of the day.
Yeah, you mentioned ugly defensive game. Well, it's because there were 0 offensive touchdowns by either team in this one. The only touchdown scored all night was that 88-yard punt return by Carlos Hernandez for Wake Forest. Wake Forest wanted to win this game by making it a defensive slugfest because of how bad their offense has played this year, and they did just that against Virginia. It's the first time that Virginia did not score a touchdown in a game since their loss to Miami in 2022, 3 years ago. Again, like Dalton mentioned, 3 lost fumbles against Wake Forest. They did not have a single lost fumble entering this week, and 3 of them against Wake Forest. It just felt like when Chandler Morris went down in the second quarter with that injury, and you saw the grade right there for Daniel Kalen, at quarterback, who had 2 of those 3 lost fumbles for Virginia. They just could never get anything going offensively, and credit to Wake Forest's defense that has been the best part of their team all year for getting a massive top 15 victory for them.
The run defense too, because you knew obviously Kalen, we learned on that early read option play from him, the 54-yard run, that he's a good athlete, and obviously Virginia's going to want to run the football because the passing game was basically gone without Morris, but gave up 175 yards on the ground if you're Wake Forest, but 97 of them on Virginia's 2 longest carries of the night. So you look at it from that angle, a really good night in run defense, a great night in defense altogether. And my most impressive, as a unit, I'm going to talk about this Wake Forest pass rush. It's what I talked about in the preview. It's the X factor for this team. Their coverage unit's really good. The zone coverages were outstanding again in this game. Credit to their secondary for playing well, but 74.7 pass rush grade for Wake Forest. Max, they are 6-0 now when they have a pass rush grade of at least 70, right? When the 3 games when they've lost, I told you they haven't gotten to quarterbacks enough. They did it in this game. Dallas Afalava with 4 pressures and a strip sack. Newer Gatcoat with a strip sack in this game. Both of those led to points. I just think when you look at this Wake Forest defense, if they get a pass rush, you got a real problem on your hands because their secondary is really good. And Daniel Kalen, 26.3 passing grade under pressure in this game. A huge factor once again in big moments was that they got enough pressure when they needed it. When Wake Forest does that, they got a really good defense on their hands.
Yeah, I want to shout out Dylan Hazen, the linebacker, the redshirt senior linebacker with a career night against Virginia. 90.2 PFF grade, the highest PFF grade of his entire career. 90.9 run defense grade. He had a forced fumble, 2 run defense stops, and a tackle for loss. 71.8 coverage grade, 2 coverage stops on only 4 targets as well. Also had a pressure on one of his 2 pass rushes too. So an all-around dominant performance for the redshirt senior linebacker. Again, his highest PFF grade of his 5-year career.
That forced fumble on Jamari Taylor was just an unbelievable play in the clutch when, again, it looked like Virginia was finally driving down, finally had some momentum to tie the game. And you look at this team now with Jake Dickert, the defensive effort that they've put together. And Dickert known as an offensive coach, right, for the work that he did at Washington State, especially the last couple of years. But this defense is carrying them right now. If they continue that into future seasons, look at Wake Forest, bowl eligible in Jake Dickert's first year as head coach with 3 games to go. You're talking about, and you really look at, you mentioned it, the offensive situation, the quarterback situation is not great. And they're 6-3. Props to them and what they're doing in Dickert's first year there, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Just a great effort to win an ugly, low-scoring game. You go on the road, I don't even care. Yeah, Chandler Morris got hurt. You go on the road playing a top 15 team, you only give up 9 points, and you force 3 turnovers the way that you did. That's unbelievable stuff right there. The entire Wake Forest defense deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, Jake Dickert right now, like you said, has that 6-3 record right now. They were 4-8 in the 2 years before he took over that job, and it's possible they could finish 9-3. I'm looking at their schedule right now, Dalton. They play North Carolina, Delaware. At Duke is tough, but they can win that Duke game too, the way their defense plays.
The way their defense is playing, they can beat anybody on any day. Look, we saw it. They almost upset. They were 1 play from upsetting Georgia Tech. Wake Forest is a team that is not to be messed with, and I'm with you. They're at least favored in those next 2 games.
Absolutely, yeah. And they went 8-5 in 2022 and 11-3 in 2021. So they go 9-3 would be their best year in 4 years. And Jake Dickert's first year at that program. It's a great job by him at that program in his first year as head coach. We've had a lot of great head coaches this year, so he probably won't get much love for any national awards, but he has done a terrific job at Wake Forest. After back-to-back 4-8 years at that program, having a 6-3 record so far this year and a top 15 victory over Virginia as well. Just an amazing job by him and Wake Forest right now. Virginia Dalton is still currently in second place in the ACC title race right now at 5-1 in the conference and 8-2 overall, but it's getting dicey right now for the Cavaliers, for sure.
What's happened now with this and this next game we're going to talk about with Cal beating Louisville is that the rankings, the initial rankings certainly felt like the ACC was going to be a 1-bid league. I think the only team left that would have any sort of at-large shot is Georgia Tech.
If they beat Georgia.
If they beat Georgia and they're 11-1, and if they were to lose the ACC title game.
You got Georgia and Pitt, by the way, too.
And Pitt would be a massive win. And you look at some of the games coming at the top of this conference. Duke's playing Virginia next week. Georgia Tech has to play Pitt. Louisville's got to play SMU. Miami has to play Pitt. There's a ton of head-to-heads here that are going to decide this thing. And I'll tell you, here's the wildest part about this. I think especially when you talk about Duke and SMU. Look, there's 1-bid league, which is one thing. Is there a chance we get a no-bid league if Duke messes around and beats Virginia and just finds their way into the ACC title game? And that's not a bad football team. They just find ways to lose games. They lost to UConn this week. But
they'd be at best 8-4, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know. At best 8-4 going into the ACC title
Duke
game.
is 5-4, but with only one conference loss. And who knows if Chandler Morris is playing next week, and that game is at Duke, and Duke's offense is very good. It's just they turn the ball over at the wrong times. They find ways to lose games, but even a 9-4 Duke team with not a whole lot of great wins.
You could get James Madison over them.
Right. I mean, it's a scenario. I'm not saying
possible. I don't think it's likely, but it's possible.
I'm not saying it's likely, but it's on the table.
Yeah.
That if them or if SMU has 3 losses, correct? I believe.
Yeah,
already?
SMU is 7-3. They're 5-1 in conference, but they're 7-3 overall.
That would be the nightmare. God, if you got both of them, SMU versus Duke in the ACC title game, that would be the nightmare scenario.
Well, SMU would beat Louisville in that sense. I think that would get them in over James Madison because James Madison lost to Louisville.
Okay, that's all right. That's reasonable. But then what if Duke were to beat SMU? See, this is the problem. See, if you have 4 losses, I mean, there's the ACC has been thrown into complete chaos here. But there's a lot of these head-to-heads are going to decide it. And I mean, look, Pitt too. Pitt's raging hot. We can't just forget about them as a playoff team too. Ever since they put Mason Heinschel in, but no, these ACC standings now and what the games we're about to get in this conference the next 3 weeks are going to be absolute wars because these are the biggest games of the season, and we're getting them all right at the end.
Crazy that we have this massive race in the ACC, and so many people's pick to win the national title, including mine. Clemson is not even involved in it really at all.
Not even. No, I mean Clemson and Florida State.
Crazy that Syracuse Orange aren't involved in it either. Honestly, my Syracuse Orange
injuries. You can blame the injuries.
I'll blame the injuries. I will.
Steve Angeli might.
I'll blame the injuries for that one.
Yep.